we're bringing in a familiar face, and actually a less familiar face, but you'll get to know Chris real well. So, Kathleen Norton-Schock, who we have on the show every month or so, and Chris, I'm always struggling with Polish names. Rydzewski, right?
Rydzewski.
All right, got it right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're close. You're really close.
Yeah, I grew up in West Michigan. A lot of Polish over there. I should have that down cold, right?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Just remember, a W is a V in Polish if they want to pronounce it the right
there
way.
You go.
Yeah.
So it's Rydzewski. You're right.
Yes.
You're absolutely right, Matt.
I just call her Chris because it's easier for me to remember.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so on the show today, we're going to be talking about Michigan Council of Women in Technology. Chris is the executive director. Kathleen is the social media guru and gets a lot of publicity and different things like that. I guess that's safe to say, right?
It is. And in fact, the reason Chris and I became friends about 20 years ago when we both were volunteering, and I still am volunteering to this day in the marketing side. But I'm so happy to have her on the show with us. We've known each other almost 2 decades, Chris.
Long time.
Maybe a record, right? Because MCWT sometimes comes and goes, but we do have a core group of women who stayed very dedicated to the mission. But I'm so excited to have Chris because honestly, she's someone I admire. She is a Michigan native in many ways, having gotten her BBA at U of M. Go Mason Blue,
right? Yeah.
And then her
Matt's
MBA,
a Michigan State fan, but we'll just ignore that.
Okay.
And her bachelor's is in marketing, so we've always been somewhat simpatico. And then her MBA from Wayne State. And then she took a pivot and then finally came back to Michigan, I would say. But the fact is that she has a 25-year career prior to what she's been doing as our executive director at MCWT in some illustrious software companies, starting out with BMC. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. Then when I met her, she was in the midst of almost a decade at CompuWare, where she did major account selling, management of strategic accounts, management of sales teams, management of partner teams, and then went on when CompuWare broke out, if you may remember, to Dynatrace, which was a very exciting evolution of a piece of CompuWare. But what I remember most about those early days, and it continues to today, is that Chris has an amazing, very, very high energy level and focus. And the fact is she's focused for a long time. She is one of the key reasons why around 2009 through then the rest of that next decade, we doubled our partnership team, our partnerships. And the fact is the fountain of money that energizes the Michigan Council of Women in Technology Foundation and our incredible number of programs is in fact our generous partners. And part of the reason we have quite a few of them is because of Chris Rydzewski. So happy to have you here today, Chris, finally.
Thank you.
Let's just get right into it. As you know, Jill Majorano, who is our volunteer president, every year we sort of have a cycle, right? And we have a president in a year and usually the vice president underneath that person. And Jill also has about 2 decades of volunteerism, having done many, many things for MCWT. So she kind of gave the broad outline of 2023 strategy, which of course you helped architect and drive with our board and our volunteer team. Before we move to that piece, right, and some of the newer initiatives that MCWT is implementing for that strategy, I think we have some organizational deadlines looming. So would you like to talk about a couple of those with our audience?
Yes. Absolutely. And by the way, pleasure to be here. So thank you for inviting me, Kathleen and Matt and Mike. Appreciate the opportunity. So I know Kathleen's done a great job highlighting what MCWT is all about, how we're really engaging in the community. But there's a couple of things that I'd like your listeners to be aware of. Every year we award a deserving female our Women of the Year in Technology Award. And we've been doing this for the last 6-7 years and have had some amazing women nominated. So we're in the nomination period right now. This is the last week. So I would love your listeners. I'll tell you what we're looking for. And if anyone is interested, how they should communicate back to us. But what we look for is someone who's a change agent, someone who embodies the MCWT mission, which is to grow and inspire women in tech, and someone who's had a significant impact in the community. So that's what we look for. They don't have to be a member of the MCWT. This is for Michigan, so focused in, basically Michigan as a geography. But if anyone does have anyone that comes to mind, I'd love for you to send an email to awards@mcwt.org. Indicate who the person is, why you're nominating them. There's a couple of questions. If you go to our website, which is mcwt.org, there's some additional detail, but it's not a heavy lift. So I think everybody can think of one person and send in their nominations. And what we do is we follow up with their office, get some additional information from them. We do have a judging team. The woman that is selected will be honored at our upcoming event in May, our Executive Connections Summit. So this is usually an event that's, in front of 800, 900 people. And it's a fabulous award to give to some deserving female.
And it also highlights that person's organization, right? Which we always say.
Absolutely.
Which is great. And then I think we have another upcoming event that is aimed at our membership, but people beyond our membership as well. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a couple of years ago, we started offering a program called Leadership Clinic. And each year, or each time that we deliver it, it has a different focus. This year, it's for middle and to senior managers who want to upskill their game. So someone who's focused on investing in themselves. And by the way, most companies will invest in some of these women as well. But the Leadership Clinic is taking place in West Michigan in Grand Rapids this year on March 16th and 17th. And it will be over at Meyer's facility. Meyer's one of the sponsors as well as Epitech.
Meyer Gardens, you mean? That area?
No, this one is actually at Meyer. You're thinking of another event though, Mike, but this one is actually at the Meyer headquarters.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
one of our so there's 3 amazing coaches, and we've done this exact same leadership clinic last year, and it was so popular that we decided just to keep everything the same and take it to West Michigan. So we have Anita Klofenstein from Little Caesar. She's CIO there, who's one of our coaches. We have Nicole Scheffler, that I think a lot of your listeners are familiar with Nicole as well, and who also co-hosted Tech Divas with Kathleen. She's one of our coaches, and Kristen Williams, who is over at Meyer. She's a VP of digital transformation over there. So there are coaches, we have cohorts, the women get to learn from these wonderful, amazing leaders. And we have extended the clinic this year to another half day to focus on an area of interest. And it could be something like doing executive presentations, storytelling, managing conflict, next level goal setting. So a lot of very relevant topics. But again, the deadline is Friday, March 3rd. So as Kathleen said, but there's a looming deadline, and that too has a lot more information on our website.
So as I said, we had Jill on talking about the strategy. Part of it was continuing to grow. We've been growing by leaps and bounds for a long time. And I think you also have a couple of programs that very much support that strategy. So maybe you'd like to talk about those for a minute, Chris?
Absolutely, would love to. So Jill has actually been the spearhead for this other program. Lots of times we have our male allies, such as are on this call right now, wondering what can they do to help support us, right? How do the men engage? What do they do? So we actually branded an initiative, and it's called Together for Tech. ... males committed to supporting women in tech. So what we're doing is we are going to have quarterly meetings, And if any of you, if any of the men on this that are listening in would like to be part of this and try to understand where they can play a role, we'd love for you to send an email to partnership@mcwt.org. And we will get you connected. So we will have quarterly meetings. We will probably have some connect nets where we get a panel of men, kind of sharing what they've done in their respective organizations to help uplift women and keep them in tech, et cetera. So just a phenomenal program that we're just starting. So, I'm not even sure where it's going to go, but I do know we just had recently, last week, we had an event where we had a lot of executives, about 100 different executives in Southeast Michigan, attend, male and female. But I got to tell you, there were probably 10 men that responded immediately and they want to be part of the team. So we're super excited about that one for sure.
And is that being spearheaded also by John Boniface?
It
who's probably
is
one of our longest male allies, who's been on our board for almost a decade. And Mike, I think you probably met John a couple times because he's the person who was the driving force behind the golf outing for the last 4 or 5 years. So when you were there last year, doing your videos, John was probably running around, but you may have met him. He is the chief marketing officer for Secure 24.
Yeah, although he's retired. He's retired now. And we brought him back from retirement. We said, John, we can't lose you. You're too valuable to us. But he's a great guy. And so there's some other guys.
That means he'll have more time for this too. That's excellent.
Exactly.
I didn't even know that.
Exactly.
And then our membership, we're a treasure trove. All of our people are a treasure trove of lots of data, right? And one of the things we've been looking at is, in fact, when women drop out at a very high rate. Even before COVID, they were dropping out at a high rate when they'd be in their 40s and 50s in technology careers. But that has really become almost an epidemic, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you want to talk about that program that we're coming together on.
That's another brand new one that will start this year. And so basically it's a program called Reignite. And it is specifically targeted for women that have left the workforce and are not sure how to come back or what's the first step you take, right? So Kathleen, you mentioned, McKinsey had a report out in 2020 about, the number of women that left the workforce. And I think it's something like 2.3 million women left the US workforce in 2020. Part of it was COVID, part of it was, childbearing age, maybe elderly parent care, et cetera. But, the demand is high in tech, as we all know. So we need to bring some of those women back. So our Reignite program will launch. The pilot will launch in April. So we're super excited about that one. And again, it's, just stay tuned on our website at this point. But April is the time frame, but basically what will happen is someone will go ahead and apply, and we will ask them for some information. We'll do an assessment. We'll customize a program for them or a set of pathways. It might be, doing some brush up skills, resumes, LinkedIn. It might be, confidence booster type, sessions. It might be tech training. It might be certifications. Some of these women might want to get into tech that have never done it before. So how do we kind of quickly get them, some level of expertise? And then there's a leadership track. So there's 4 tracks. And, probably it'll take about 3 months for someone to go through some of their customized program. But at the end, they will be available. Their profile will be available to the MCWT partners so that they could be hired. So there'll be interviewing taking place and such, and we hope to land, employment for some of these women. So very, very excited about it. So anyway, if anybody that's listening in is interested, again, if you want to just go ahead and send me a note, partnership@mcwt.org. That's probably a good place to just send a note and say, hey, keep me in the loop for that one. So
yeah, we just did a post the other day on LinkedIn. Also, there's a Gallup survey out that says almost a third of mid-level and high-level women leaders are considering pivoting out again because of a variety of factors. So this is such a crucial program, and I think it's super exciting that we're doing it. I mean, we're on the cusp of at least the innovation here in Michigan for it. Is there, while we wrap up, Chris, is there anything else that you wanted to emphasize? You talked about the Executive Connection Summit. Do you remember what the date of that is? It's usually May.
Yeah, May 11th. So May 11th is our executive connection summit. It's over at the Suburban Showplace over in Novi. And typically we'll have anywhere from, depending in the post-COVID, we only had about 400 people, but we've had up to 900. It's just a day full of learnings. We usually have our auto partners are the host sponsors, but we have about 26 other sponsors. And this year's theme is Be the Change, Find the Yes in You. So pretty
That's
compelling.
great.
And
Great.
again, when we pick the Woman of the Year, she'll be awarded at that event too. But there'll be more details on the website. We do have sponsorships available right now for that one. Another amazing event. And I would just, in closing, just like to thank everyone and anybody that might be interested in MCWT. I think, this is a year of growth and expansion for us across Michigan. We're trying to get, I'm sure you heard Jill say, we want to get more girls, right? More girls around the whole, all the geographies over across Michigan. But we want more members. We want more partners. We want to just accelerate our growth. So if anyone is interested in engaging with us, send us an email. I'd be happy to talk to you personally, but we have a lot of work to do. So, volunteers, members, we're just inviting everyone to help us out.